getting into our ace set. The ace set is a best of 3, but it does only count for 1 match point. And since the series is tied up 3-3, whoever wins this series will win the week for their team. Gonna be a diamond matchup: Zerg versus Random. First map is gonna be Ruins of Ceres, spawning up here in the top left. Our blue Protoss player, actually a blue random player, spawning as Protoss. The admin himself from Unrivaled is Polar. And his opponent in the bottom right in pink from BornG, a former member of Unrivaled. These two players are pretty good friends if what Polar says is to be trusted. This is Msyu. ZVP, very, very large map, cross positions. It is ZV random, however, which can be a little bit annoying for a Zerg player. But it is such a large map that Msyu thinks he's at least safe enough to go ahead and take a hatchery first to start off the game. And likewise, Polar is going to be taking a Nexus first, even. He did set up his pylon, so he can start walling off immediately, so he doesn't have a pylon sitting up in his main base being moderately useless. So he does have that going for him, and considering the fact that his opponent went for a hatch first as well, he should be relatively safe. But it was a hatch into gas into pool. The same opener we saw in the previous game with Fussed Up versus Terra, which turned into pretty much a Speedling all-in. So to see if our Zerg player in this game has the same sort of idea. Polar in here. Whoops. These things happen, kids. This is why I rock. So that only went back a few seconds. It's all right. I'm really good at this. I'm really good at this game, guys. Poor getting in here, as I was about to say before I hit the B button instead of the V button. Gotta scout around and see what is going on. You know, sees the hatch timing, sees the gas and pool timings. Should have a pretty good idea of what is a possibility. He does have a forge on the way, so a cannon rush could be possible. He's going to be checking out for a third base here. That's not a drone, that's actually an overlord. I thought it might be a drone patrolling over there to make a third hatchery, but it is just an overlord. 2 queens on the way here from Msyu. And Polar has finished up his wall. No cannon coming down just yet for him. So he's not going to be trying to stay safe that way, but this is going to be a much more difficult wall to actually break than the previous game. One, it's actually a wall, the natural base. So that definitely helps. Plus he's got a forge out here, so he can actually drop that a cannon if you really wanted to be safe enough. Or we can just be happy that he's got a wall, and probably I assume a zealot, and he's going to have a budget core eventually. I think it was a 2-gate opener before that cyber core started. So there we go. We are going to see a photon cannon come down first off before he tries to do anything else too much further. Drone moving out here from Msyu. I'm assuming this is to go take a third hatchery. I love when I assume things in the right, because it's mostly not the case. It's mostly never the case. A couple of the depths coming out here for Polar. Could use that for scouting, could use that for just a really safe wall, since the depths just shred through lanes. We do have +1 attack coming up for Polar as well, so he's going into that tech heavy route rather quickly here in game number 1. Again, this series is tied up 3-3, so this best of 3 is rather important for the week and rather important really for the standings. At this point, both of these teams are kind of in the middle of the pack. BornG is sitting at 2-2 after week 4, and Unrivaled is sitting at 2-1 since they did have their bye already in the season. So now the team wants to have to drop another week for BornG, so that would drop them below 500 and possibly drop them all the way down to 7th place if they were to lose and some other things were to happen. Which definitely they don't want to have, they don't want to. And on the flip side of that, if Unrivaled were able to win here, they could possibly move into 2nd place right behind the undefeated Bear Sloths if Lid were to drop their series this week. Layer on the way here from Msyu. Just have a few more gas coming in as well. Should just say that, yeah, these two did just finish, and the fourth one in his main also did just finish. So going up to 4 gases and a layer. Third hatchery is finished here. So we start pumping out even more drones, and I mean, Zerg players already at 50 drones. I completely glossed over the fact that there's a Stargate on the map and a ton of adepts. Okay, not as many adepts. The shades confuse me. There's 8 adepts. Still a pretty healthy amount, but it's still only 7 adepts. There's the 8th one. What's up, adept? I knew you were there. So +1 adepts and some Phoenix support. I'm curious what this is actually going to be able to accomplish. I mean, it's nothing but links on the map and really nice creeps right here from Msyu, so it's not like he's going to be surprised by these units, and with speed, he should be able to deal with these shades and the adepts pretty effectively. Drone's actually getting shoot away from that third there, and Polar does not cancel the shades. He was getting attacked by the Spinecrawler. The Spinecrawler got 1 kill. Drones actually pulled off the line here from Msyu. This is a lot of drone kills here for our Protoss player. He's going back into the 3rd place, just bouncing in between the bases here. Really, really nicely done here by Polar. He is a random player, but Protoss has always been his main race, so it's no surprise seeing him start off the series with a really, really strong build. 14 workers killed. 14 workers killed. That's a rather nice start to a game, especially when your opponent went for such a greedy... It wasn't even a greedy opener, but he did have a lot of workers, and now we see that the worker count is actually in favor of our Protoss player. Polar has a 3rd Nexus about to finish up, and being on even footing at this point in the game in a PvZ is really, really nice for the Protoss player. Lurkerdin on the way here for Msyu, so we could possibly see a very, very long game, at least a very long game in terms of Legacy of the Void standards. And I'm curious, have these Phoenix actually been seen? I mean, I gotta assume they were seen at some point. I wonder if any of these have a kill. No, none of them actually have a kill just yet. They were probably seen by some links at some point in this game, especially considering the fact that Msyu does have some spore collars in his mineral lines. He must have seen that at some point, but that's a pretty healthy number of Phoenix here, and they're going to be able to pick up this Queen and get that killed off. So Polar just being super annoying here in game number 1, taking out whatever he can. He's going to try to get out some drones as well, being a little bit ballsy there with those Phoenix, getting on top of a Spore Crawler. Hydra's dancing around as well, trying to shoo these away, but Polar, without losing any Phoenix, kills off an additional 3 workers and a Queen. Just keeping that worker count actually quite a bit in this favor. 55 to 44 workers right now. 7.5 minutes in. Yeah, every Protoss will take that in a heartbeat. Robo's starting to pump out units as well here. There's even a Stasis Ward coming down. Stasis Ward is something I really don't see that often, so it is really, really cool to see that. Overlords can be starting getting cleaned up here. There aren't really many on the map. In fact, that was probably really the only Overlords actually on the map still. There's one over here. It's kind of in a dangerous spot. But beyond that, okay, there's another one down here too. This is a Ling up here just scouting out for a 4th Nexus to come down. So Msyu shouldn't lose too many more Overlords at least. So I guess that's a little bit of a victory for him at least. The Robo Bay did just finish up. If I can actually find it, wherever the heck he actually put it. That I just completely glossed over. There it is. It's all the way in the back. Robo Bay did finish up, and he's actually going to go directly into Disruptors. Given that Msyu does look to be going for Lurkers, that's going to be a really nice addition to his army. With these Phoenix as well, if the Phoenix are able to get on top of where the Lurkers are burrowed and they're able to pick them up, just take them out of the fight completely, it's such a really nice... that's why I really love Phoenix. Stargate play, I mean, it just impresses me. Anybody who plays Stargate really, really well earns a lot of my respect, because I tried playing it and it's just a disaster. It's a lot of fun to play, but it is so much more difficult than playing without a Stargate and just having kind of the same unit comp. It's just going to be a little bit weaker. That ability just to be able to pick up units and take them completely out of the fight is just so good. Oh, Ling gonna get a kill on the probe. Oh, Stalker. Stalker saves the day. Probe list, Stalker saves the day. Probs, I'm going to come back over here and take the natural, and that is 10 lurkers in the production tab. Holy hell. It's a lot of lurkers. Ling Lurker Hydra here for Msyu. What are the upgrades that we got? +1 attack for both players, +1 armor for Polar. All the speed upgrades here for our Zerg player. +2 attack is about to finish here for Polar. He's got a second Robo on the way, and it's looking like he wants to get pretty aggressive here. Another Queen is about to go down here. I think another Overlord went down as well. So it's going to be yet another Queen, but Lurkers and Lings getting on top of this army here. That Stasis Ward did trap a bunch of these Lurkers over here. Okay, a little patch of Lurker and Hydra over here. A couple of Lurkers actually going down pretty quickly here. Oh, Polar did not lose. Do not lose that Oracle. Oracles will be so useful later on in this game. These 3 Lurkers getting caught out over here is really, really nice. One more Lurker getting sniped off there. Oh, I could have gone for that. I feel like Polar probably could have gone for that one. Oh, and the Phoenix too. The Phoenix passed right over these Lurkers. A nice defense there by Polar. I mean, look at the resources lost. 5,200 versus 1,400 in favor of Protoss player. And this 4th Nexus is down. The 4th hatchery is here, but it's barely mining. Workers have been even for such a long time in this game. Msyu is just looking to delay as long as he possibly can with more and more Lurkers. 8 Lurkers, going to be doing the 3 that he has. Of course, he did make, I think, 12 originally. He lost 7 of them, so... Yeesh. It's a lot of Lurkers to lose. It's a lot of gas to be losing this early in the game. So kind of a rough start here for a Zerg player in game number 1. There's a Warp Prism coming out, and we have these disruptors that are all being made as well. And there's 4, 5 disruptors out already. A bunch of Blink Stalkers. Nice upgrades. He's got a DT Shrine coming in. He's got Temple Archives coming in as well. Another Stasis Board being planted right by the sweet Turbo Team League Season 12 logo. Phoenix are still being annoying. Has he even lost a Phoenix yet? My god. Polar is playing so well. That is insane. To not even lose a Phoenix throughout all of this. Like, I would have lost these Phoenix and then remade them and lost them again in the time that he's kept these alive and done a ton of damage with them. Some Zealots just hunting around, I guess, looking for some hidden expansions. Phoenix gonna come in again, try to kill off a couple of workers, and oh my god, he keeps it alive. How? 4, 2, 6, 3, and 2 kills on these Phoenix, so there's quite a bit of work done on those. We do have the creep is starting to get pretty far across the map right now here for Msyu. Polar might want to find a way to get rid of some of that pretty soon, because if he allows Msyu to actually set up with static defense, kind of the old swarm host style with these lurkers, he's not really having a great time. He does have the extended thermal lance on the way, Colossus on the way, Archon's on the way. He's got every tier 3 tech unit he wants except for the Stargate units. I don't think he's thrown out a fleet beacon just yet. He does still have the Chrono on the Stargate, but he's not actually thrown down that fleet beacon. Does he have the skin? Is that the new skin for the Colossus? I think it is. I don't actually know because I don't play with it, really. I don't know if I have it turned on. I know I have it, but I haven't actually turned it on. It's also running into the 3rd base here, but actually kind of popping at a pretty poor time. They even get the Queen. They really wanted to kill that Queen, but it's not going to happen. Just not going to happen. Ooh, there's DTs now. DT's going to go snipe a base. And there's spore guards everywhere else, so you may as well go snipe what base you can. Where's he actually taking these? I think he's taking them over here. At least he was taking them over there. I don't know if he wants to go for where the spore crawler is. He wants to go into the main. Okay, he's going to split them up. Hopefully he can get some drone kills here. There he goes. He's going to go after drones immediately here in this base. Start getting some more kills on that. 3 drone kills, but really nice reaction there from our Zerg player. At the same time, he is going to start losing a little bit of health on this hatchery. He should be able to keep that alive. Are there any Overseers? Okay, there's an Overseer. I wasn't really sure if there's an Overseer or not, but there is. And now starts to move out here for our Protoss player. It's a lot of Death Bomb. Spire's on the way. We do have the Hive finish. The Greater Spire can be a thing. 13 more Lurkers in production. It's so many goddamn Lurkers. It's going to have 24 Lurkers here in a bit. have a Spire on the way as well. +3 attack is on the way for those lurkers. My lord. I love the stasis wards. It's the path of retreat stasis wards, or the path of trying to surround me from the back. It's really, really nice placement on those. Polar going to snipe off a hatchery over here. Just make sure his opponent is kind of down on the economy as much as possible. Does he have an observer anywhere where we can actually, like, you know, clear up some of this creep? Because this is getting out of hand. Oh, engagement actually kind of going down, but that's so many lurkers. How do you even engage into this? A bunch of disruptor shots go off, but that didn't do anything. 3 more disruptor shots go off, and actually they don't kill anything. Where is his observer? I don't actually see it. No problem, because he's got 3 of them. There's one. God, how do you even engage into this? Polar's like, yeah, okay, whatever, let's go for it. He's going to engage into this army. He's going to kill off most of the army that isn't the lurkers, which means he can probably just run around the army now if he really wanted to, but there's just so many lurkers. It's insane. 1DT going to kill off this extra hatchery over here from Msyu. So that's going to go down as well. Production tab, we've got some corruptors on the way now. It's still just so many lurkers. 19 lurkers, a bunch of lings, some hydras, and going to be some roaches and some corruptors now coming up. There we go. Polar finally be able to clear up some of this creep. That's crazy. There's so many stasis wards around the map. That's what's so cool about the Oracle. You just make a bunch of stasis wards around the map and maybe you catch your opponent at some point. As you're setting up a really nice concave here. Holy crap. This is so well done. The play with the lurkers here by Msyu is done so well. It's a lot of Colossus here. Where are the disruptors at, actually? There we go. It's a lot of disruptors. The disruptor shot's going to go off. A couple of them do go off and we get a little bit of damage done, but... Okay. Well, I guess most of the army there from Msyu did get killed. Most of the ground army that wasn't lurkers. So he decided to tap out of game number 1, so Polar will go up 1-0 here in the best of 3.